I'll bring you off stage.
Thanks, Jay.
And we're going to start the flashback video.
AI and Web3 are driving the growth of a $180 billion cloud storage industry. The data storage inefficiencies are holding them back. Centralized providers are fast and reliable, but expensive and risking points of failure. Deep-in solutions like Filecoin have emerged as more affordable alternatives with strong features for privacy and governance, but are often slower and require a whole new tech stack to interact with them. Today's fragmented market of data storage solutions is inefficient and costs AI and Web3 companies significant resources and time, leaving them with the choice of selecting a single cloud provider that risks vendor lock-in, high transfer costs limiting the ability to try alternative emerging decentralized solutions that offer much promise, and huge data bills that mean spending up to 20 to 25% of revenue on storage. As individual options, today's cloud providers have too many friction points for modern storage needs and hold back growth. We believe there's a better way for companies to store data. Meet Flashback, the world's first agentic AI cloud diversification platform, an aggregation layer that enables companies to diversify their storage with both centralized and decentralized cloud providers. The main benefits of Flashback include the reduction of storage costs by up to 30 to 35%, the management and utilization of accounts and credits from multiple providers in one platform, and the easy access to deep-in storage solutions without having to learn a whole new tech stack or download a crypto wallet. So how does the platform actually work? A company connects to the platform with either their email, Gmail account, or GitHub. We want to make Flashback and the benefits of Web3 as accessible as possible to anyone from any background without even having to think about it. Once you connect, we have the homepage, which provides a high-level overview of your data storage allocation, recent activity, and our agentic AI, which analyzes your data and activity on Flashback and provides customized recommendations on the most optimized and cost-efficient way for you to store your data. Then going on to actually managing the data you store. Here we've made it as easy as possible for you to add and manage buckets for storing data with traditional and deep-in cloud providers with just a few clicks of a button. After creating a bucket, you'll want to customize how you interact and diversify your data storage across the different providers, which is where the repositories and APIs come in, a space to manage your multiple storage buckets for a fully immersive experience of multi-cloud diversification. Here we're making it a similar experience to what developers are used to encountering in Web 2 and traditional systems. While our alpha version currently shows the fundamentals related to your storage across different cloud providers and gives an insight into how they compare, the analytics and metrics dashboard will expand to provide more in-depth custom analytics and insights into usage, spend, and storage performance. Then going on to how we make money. We have two main revenue streams. First is a transaction fee on the volume of data traffic coming through our platform. The second is a subscription fee. While any company can interact and store data on the platform for free, with a subscription plan, they'll get access to tool chains, support, and greater customization for the whole storage allocation journey. Which brings us to our team. My co-founder and I have combined PhD specialized in machine learning and over a decade of experience in AI and Web3 are tackling a data issue that we encountered firsthand when building products. And after a year and a half of development, we've built the initial technology, have brought together a strong team of complementary skill sets across growth and tech, and an ecosystem of backers, including Drapu Ventures, Google Cloud, Stellar, and Starknet, and are set to release our private alpha version in a week's time with 10 pilot customers and over 100 companies from AI and Web3 on our whitelist. We are now raising a $1.2 million pre-seed round to accelerate and scale our product towards our main launch in July, and are ready to make Flashbacks and deep-in storage's potential a reality.
Yes, guys, wow. It sounded like a movie to me. Great voice. Let's bring the man on. Zach, how are you?
Hello. It's an absolute pleasure, and it's great to see you guys again, Deepan, Jesus, and Aaron. Lovely to meet you. The rest of everyone else.
All right, guys, go at it.
Yeah, I'm going to dive right in. This is really interesting to me. So let me just make sure that I'm fully and clearly understanding. Y'all are an aggregator service of all these other platform choices for storage, correct? You're not providing your own storage. You're providing a better user experience for me to find the best storage method.
Exactly, that's correct. And so the way we see it today is centralized traditional solutions like AWS and cloud, they have their own benefits where they're fast and reliable, but they are expensive and they're risking points of failure. there's also high egress costs to try and actually leave them. So that causes single cloud vendor lock-in. Equally, deep in storage solutions, as we all know, they offer significant benefits as well, which is they're significantly more affordable. They're also very great for archival and privacy and governance. But currently today, they're just way too slow for most modern applications. And similarly, they're also way too hard to access. So, for example, a developer may have to learn a whole new technology stack just to interact with them or download a cryptocurrency wallet. And so, for example, for an AI company or a typical technology company, the last thing you want to hear about is blockchain. Look, I love blockchain just as much as everyone else in this room. But the fact is trying to convince an AI company to move away from a Google Cloud to a Filecoin or a Storgy, it just ain't happening. And so what we're trying to say is instead of looking at it from a centralized versus decentralized perspective, or making companies having to choose one or the other, we're saying actually no, we can combine the benefits of both. And so what ends up happening is you store data where it's most optimal and where it makes most sense.
And so to follow up, that's perfect explanation there, Zach. I appreciate that. So how are you determining what optimal is for me at the end of the user? Is it surely by cost per gigabyte, or how are we deciding where I put what?
So that's a really great question again, Kale. And so what we do is a company will connect to the platform, they'll provide their data, they'll also provide their requirements. And so what we'll do is we'll utilize our own agentic AI to analyze these inputs, and then we'll come up with the most optimized and cost-efficient way to actually store the data across the different cloud providers. And so this will be constantly changing with the different types of data that you're actually storing in itself, and also depending on the performance that you're requiring. But equally, this will also change with the pricing models of the different storage providers as well. And so, what we can do is we can provide a recommendation. And if a customer says, yes, this is what I would like to do, then we can automate it. But similarly, we also want to give developers and companies the option to just say, hey, look, I know exactly what I want it to do, and I want to store it in this way. And so we enable you to do what takes hundreds of hours with an engineering team to do by yourself within minutes, up to an hour, just through our platform.
That makes sense. I'm a big fan of the Arweave ecosystem, but it's very clear that you don't need to store everything for long-term persistent data and access. So that makes good sense. I'll yield the floor.
What makes the AI agentic if it's just offering recommendations?
Yeah, so that's a great question again. And so this really depends on, because what we're trying to build here is first as far as we can tell, and it's also based upon the data. The data isn't currently available to us because the type of data AI that we're trying to train isn't out there today. And so this is based upon the data that we have to collect through our own platform. And so initially it's going to be based upon unsupervised machine learning algorithms, and such that it will be more of a chatbot system in which it will provide recommendations. But over time, as we collect more data and based upon your own user behavior and data usage, it will then enable smart, intelligent, multi-cloud switching. It will also track the type of data that you're storing, for example, with a fast data retrieval storage provider who may be centralized. But if it's seeing that actually you're not actually retrieving that data that often, you could be saving your data storage costs by actually storing it with Filecoin, or if a decentralized storage option as an alternative, then it will actually flag that up, and then it will provide that recommendation similarly. And so this is just one of the types of AI that we have within the platform itself, but equally we'll have multiple different types of AI agents which are providing assistance throughout the actual storage allocation journey.
So you want to replace the function of the DevOps engineer with your agentic AI that can automatically, pick the best redundant storage options and pricing and all that. A lot of times with storage as well, when people choose an AWS, for example, they're not just getting it for the raw storage cost, but for all of the different managed services that Amazon offers, easy to deploy and for security and all kind of stuff. How does that factor in? Is that kind of out of scope for this, and it's really just about raw storage?
No, that's a great point. And so for us, you're still going to own your account. You're still going to own your AWS account. You're still going to own your Google Cloud account. You're also still going to have access to all the deep in storage providers. it's probably better that we don't have access to your AWS account such that we can see all of this stuff and we have control. We want you to have complete control over that. But equally, it means that you're able to get the benefits and advantages of an AWS, whether that's the reliability, speed, or the additional benefits that comes, or even the credits. So you can manage and utilize all of the different credits and accounts from different providers just through our platform. But essentially, we're just this middle layer. We're almost like we're a middle layer.
So I could totally imagine the case where I'm using AWS and I'm using a bunch of their different tools, and I get a recommendation to have a redundant data store on Arweave or something like that. And I go, cool, I'll take that recommendation. It does seem like a cheap, redundant way to store data for a backup, but I still need, AWS for XYZ. I guess once it becomes, so one, is that an accurate characterization of kind of like what I would get from the AI is like, hey, here's your best way to create your redundant data store. And two, I guess when it's agentic, I guess it'd be kind of a nightmare if I woke up and all of my data was deleted from AWS and ported to IPFS, and now wasn't able to load the right way, or tools were breaking or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly a great point. What we're not trying to do here is automatically having full control over your data storage, unless at some point in the future we see from enough clients and companies saying, hey, actually, we want to put it in your hands, and we sign off, complete control to you to manage this, and I just want full optimization, then we can do that. But today, that is not the case. What we're trying to say is, we'll do all of the research, we'll provide you the tools to find the most optimized way to do it, and then it's within your hands to decide, okay, I want to do this or I don't want to do this. The last thing we're going to be doing is deleting your data and removing access to that, as in that just completely defeats the purpose of us coming in here. You might as well use an AWS job just by yourself, where they can press a button, you lose access to your data.
Yeah, I may be getting hung up on the agentic word in there, and also I'm not an engineer. I just play one on TV, so
no worries.
The DevOps world is a little bit outside of my wheelhouse. I'll yield my time. So over to Scott.
Hey, Zach, man, I love the both way thing, and I guess my question, I don't know if like you've talked to enterprises or you already have them as customers. What's their reaction? Because out here in Silicon Valley, when I brought the DPIN idea, just decentralized, they're like, wait a second, that guy, that's our client. I don't, I'm not going to air nobody out, but they're like, yo, they ping off ours, when that's not available. And that, I guess that's always been the argument for just like fully DPIN storage. And yeah, I really love this, like, the best of both worlds. Cause for me, I'm a Web 2.5 guy. So I like, how that fits in. What is the enterprise's reactions like if you're working with any? You don't have to give like too much alpha, but yeah, I'm very curious what they're saying to you with the both way, because I think that's like what they were secretly telling me. Like you're gonna have to have like the best of both worlds, basically.
No, that's an incredible point, and the reason I say that is because a bit of background behind our journey. We initially set out to create our own DPIN storage provider, so a competitor to a Filecoin and Arweave that provided decentralized data storage, but was fast. And so it would be just as fast as AWS's Google Cloud. We did this for a year and a half or so. And we realized after speaking with hundreds, if not thousands of founders, that actually it wasn't about trying to create the perfect DPIN storage solution. Because trying to convince someone to move away from an AWS or a Google Cloud to try and use us was just very, very difficult, because as Rob was mentioning, there's certain benefits that comes with using a Google Cloud, where ease of access, certain benefits, speed and reliability. And just to say, hey, I want you to use a blockchain version, I mean, it's not, it's not really the most convincing argument. And we moved to Silicon Valley in November, actually, and we encountered so many AI companies and companies from outside of Web3, and they were telling us similar things. And this is when we started to realize that actually we ourselves and the rest of the market we were looking at it from the wrong lens and wrong perspective. And actually, you can have the benefits of blockchain and Web3 without having to shout to everyone, this is blockchain and Web3. We just want to say, hey, look, at the end of the day, if I go to an AI company and I say, you get reduced cost by up to 30-35%, you get improved privacy and governance, and you're able to manage all your accounts within one single unified platform, do you want to use this? They say, yes, I do want to use this. And so I think it's stating the benefits instead of saying, hey, you know, this is the technology we're using behind it. And with regards to, for example, enterprises, this is one of the reasons why we're able to onboard them and we have them as pilot customers. It's because we don't have the barriers to entry, such as you can sign up with a GitHub or you can sign up with an email or Gmail. You could pay with stables and native cryptocurrencies if you want to, but equally, our first option is you can pay with fiat. And so here you never have to touch Web3, but you see, you know, the Web3 is running in the background.
Zach, I love that. And anyone who follows me, I always say Web3, the mullet, right? Business up front, all that crazy stuff that we love. Keep that all in the back and optional, right? Like maybe
Exactly.
later on down the line, somebody might, or, you know, you have that open end in the background for something else. But no, I'm super bullish, Jack. That amazing, man. I can't wait to see your journey from here.
Love it.
Sweet.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, and thanks, Zach. We'll definitely, catch up after this. So yeah, thanks again for the presentation.